The movie begins in a terrifying jungle somewhere in Southeast Asia. A group of people has arrived to cut down trees in this jungle. One of them is sitting inside a logging vehicle. Suddenly, he feels like someone has just rushed from one side of the jungle to the other. Right after that, another member of their team, who was standing deeper in the jungle, gets slashed by a sharp weapon and is dragged into the forest. The man sitting inside the vehicle wants to check what happened. When he reaches the spot, he finds the blood-soaked helmet of the missing person along with one of his severed fingers. Horrified by the gruesome scene, he starts running to save his life. But unfortunately, he steps into a hunting trap set in the jungle, which causes him to hang upside down from a tree. Moments later, one of the terrifying tribal people who live in the jungle appears. His entire body and face are smeared with blood. This tribesman brutally kills the man. The scene shifts. Now we see two young couples. One guy is named Richie, and his partner is Jasmine. The other guy is AJ, and the girl's name is Maya. They have been friends since college and have come to a resort in this jungle for a vacation. While chatting over a meal, they decide to explore the jungle the next day by kayaking through the river. To do that, they hire a guide. His name is Nek. Nek gives them a short training session on how to wear life jackets and how to operate the kayaks, as no one knows what could happen in this dangerous jungle. At the same time, the group decides that they will spend the night in the jungle. As they paddle down the river, Nek starts telling them stories about the river and the jungle. In the middle of his story, he mentions that both his father and grandfather used to work as jungle guides. Once, his grandfather encountered the tribal people of this jungle and was never seen again. It is assumed that he died. The two guys don't really believe the story, but the girls get frightened. Maya, nervously, asks, "I've heard there are cannibals in this jungle. Do they still live here?" Nek replies, "This jungle belongs to them. So yes, they do. But there's nothing to worry about. We won't go near their territory." Meanwhile, we see two young bikers riding through a trail in the jungle. They came here seeking adventure. One of them is named Danny. Deep inside the jungle, they spot a signboard that says, "Do not enter." They don't take the warning seriously and enter that restricted part of the jungle, unknowingly walking into a death trap. While riding, someone suddenly slashes Danny's throat, and both of them fall off their bikes. The girl runs toward Danny's bike to check what happened, only to find his lifeless body floating in a pool of blood. A short distance away lies his severed head. Horrified, she screams and runs, eventually hiding inside a cave. But she doesn't realize that the cave actually belongs to the cannibalistic tribe. Sitting in a corner, she starts recording a message on her phone about what happened to them. Just then, one of the tribesmen appears and kills her too. Back in the jungle, Richie and the others have now made arrangements to spend the night. At night, while Maya was talking to Nek, he told her the story of two men who had once come to cut trees and were captured by the tribal people. He also shared a chilling detail, that the jungle tribes sometimes kill their victims instantly, but other times, especially the cannibalistic ones, they keep the victims alive after partially mutilating them. Now the question is, why would they keep a victim alive after injuring them? Since there's no electricity in the jungle, and naturally, no fridge or way to store meat, the cannibal tribes keep their victims alive until needed. They cut just above the ankles of their prey to ensure they can't escape. That way, whenever they need meat, they simply return to these injured victims and cut flesh from their bodies. Later that night, while everyone is asleep, AJ and Jasmine secretly meet. From their conversation, it becomes clear that they are involved in an illicit relationship. The two are physically intimate, despite Jasmine being in a relationship with Richie. The next morning, Richie is nowhere to be found. Along with him, Nek's kayak is also missing, the same kayak that held all their supplies. It seems Richie has taken the kayak and left. The truth is, Richie had overheard AJ and Jasmine's conversation the night before. He couldn't accept the betrayal from the person he loved so deeply. Now, everyone sets out together to search for Richie. As they go deeper into the jungle, they reach a point in the river where it splits in two directions. One path leads to a rapid, dangerous stream, impossible to kayak through. The other path flows toward the territory of the cannibalistic tribes. Nek is completely against going in that direction. He tries to convince the others and says, "It's better if we turn back now and report everything to the forest department. They will help us find Richie. Why should we risk our lives by heading into the dangerous territory of those tribes?" But AJ disagrees. He says, "We're taking the boat this way. Anything could have happened to Richie in this dangerous jungle. We're not leaving him behind. If you want to come with us, then come. Otherwise, swim back if you want." In a jungle where death could be waiting at every step, no one would risk swimming all the way back to civilization. So Nek is left with no choice and reluctantly agrees to go with them. After traveling a short distance, they spot Richie's kayak near the edge of the jungle. To search for Richie, they enter the forest. But Nek refuses to go in with them. He says, "If you don't return within an hour, I'm taking the kayak and leaving." The group ventures deeper into the jungle and reaches a cave. Meanwhile, as Nek waits in the kayak, he suddenly notices something moving in the jungle. Holding a knife in his hand, he cautiously enters the forest. But what he finds shocks him. There are human-shaped dummies dressed in real people's clothes hanging around, along with some personal belongings. And the cannibalistic tribespeople are already waiting there, watching him. The moment he spots them, Nek realizes exactly what's about to happen to him. Terrified, he runs for his life. He races back to the kayak and tries to escape using it. But just then, someone suddenly emerges from the water and slits his throat. His blood turns the river red. Back in the cave, AJ, Maya, and Jasmine are searching every corner when suddenly Richie appears in front of them, shocking everyone. He had been hiding there all along. Now reunited, the four of them return to the riverbank. But when they arrive, they don't see Nek or his kayak. They assume he must have abandoned them and left. But then, they notice Nek's knife lying on the ground. This makes them a bit suspicious. Even though they don't fully understand what might have happened, they sense that something's definitely wrong. As they begin paddling back in their own kayak, they spot Nek's kayak floating nearby. AJ notices something alarming, fresh bloodstains inside it. They decide to look for Nek. As they venture deeper into the jungle, they come across a pot of boiling water. But what they see inside that pot horrifies them. Floating in the boiling water is Nek's severed head. Terrified and in shock, they try to escape using their kayak. But members of the tribal group had already been hiding in the water, waiting for them. After paddling a short distance, they see a fallen tree blocking the river. They get off the kayak and push it under the tree to pass through. At that moment, one of the hidden tribesmen ambushes them. During the fight, both Richie and AJ get injured. But together, they manage to kill the tribesman, bashing his head with a rock and stabbing him in the chest. However, their troubles don't end there. While they were fighting, their kayaks had drifted away in the current. Now, they have no choice but to escape through the jungle on foot. The river is far too dangerous. First, no one knows what lies ahead. Second, the tribesmen could be hiding anywhere. Third, the river's current can change at any moment, and they have no idea how deep or deadly certain parts are. So, going through the jungle is the only option. They begin walking deeper into the forest. As they walk, day slowly turns into night. Eventually, they stop to rest for a while and decide to take turns standing guard. One by one, each person takes their turn. But when it's AJ's turn to stand watch, he can sense that someone is silently observing them from the shadows. Thinking quickly, AJ crawls into a muddy pit, covers his body with mud, and lies completely still. He plants his knife upright in the ground beside him and waits patiently for the tribesman to come close. Sure enough, a tribesman arrives, searching the area for him, and AJ seizes the opportunity to launch a surprise attack. AJ, however, was no match for the tribal man's strength and fighting skills. The tribesman strikes AJ in the head with an axe. Just as he's about to bite into AJ's neck, Richie arrives and intervenes. During the chaos, AJ rolls down a slope, which saves his life, but Richie gets caught by the other tribesmen. AJ watches helplessly as a few members of the tribe drag Richie away with his hands, feet, and mouth tied up. They stop at a certain spot, and AJ cautiously crawls on the ground to get closer to Richie. Seeing him, Richie desperately signals for help. But AJ knows all too well, he couldn't even defeat a single tribesman. There's no way he can take on all of them or save Richie. So instead of trying to rescue him, AJ tells Richie, "I promise you, I can't save you, but I will save Maya and Jasmine." Then, the tribesmen take Richie to another spot and cut into his ankles. Richie screams in unbearable pain. After that, the tribesmen tell him to run into the jungle and instruct their young ones to chase him, turning his agony into a twisted game. They laugh and play this deadly game with Richie for a while before eventually killing him. The next morning, Jasmine asks AJ, "Where's Richie?" AJ replies that Richie went to look for a jeep. He doesn't tell Jasmine the truth, perhaps fearing she wouldn't be able to handle it. A while later, they continue escaping through the dense jungle. Suddenly, Jasmine steps into one of the traps set by the tribe, a pit with sharp wooden spikes hidden below. One of the spikes pierces straight through her chest. She cries out in pain. AJ and Maya somehow manage to lift her out of the pit, and they continue fleeing. Eventually, they reach the river again, where they find a kayak and use it to go further downstream. But they still haven't escaped tribal territory. The jungle belongs to the cannibals, and they are everywhere. Suddenly, another tribesman attacks them, injures AJ, and moves toward the two girls. But before he can harm them, AJ returns and engages in a fierce fight. He ultimately decapitates the tribesman, taking revenge for his fallen friends. But AJ doesn't stop there. His body and soul burn with the fire of vengeance. He makes a decision. He will wipe out the entire cannibal tribe. Just then, he sees many tribesmen approaching, ready to avenge their fallen comrade. AJ knows very well, the three of them won't make it out alive. There's only one way the girls can survive. So AJ makes a final decision. He'll stay and fight the tribesmen, keeping them busy so that Maya and Jasmine can escape. He charges into battle, fighting with everything he has, but is ultimately overpowered and killed. In the end, Maya and Jasmine manage to reach the mountains along the river and climb to the top, where a forest department jeep finally finds them. After facing terrifying death and cannibalistic tribes, only these two girls survive and make it out alive. That was the story in today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.